Alright, I just want to put a quick video together, kind of quick, it's going to be a little in-depth, but showing how I synchronize and pitch change tracks in order to create mashups. So, the first step is to have the idea. For instance, I've got Thriller.
It's close to midnight, something evil's lurking in the dark.
And Another One Bites the Dust, as just an idea that I came up with pretty recently. So they're in two different keys, but the tempos are pretty similar, and the structure is going to be pretty similar. So you could take the vocals off of Queen and put it over Thriller. So what I do is I go to a YouTube ripper. There's tons of them out there, and they come up and go because it's technically piracy, but we're doing this for educational purposes. So you copy the URL, put it in there, convert. Sometimes it might be blocked. Like Michael Jackson, there's a good chance it's going to be blocked. So you won't have to, you'll have to find another one. There we go. So hit the download button, close whatever that is. And now we got the Thriller MP3. Do the same for Queen. Alright, so we'll go to Logic, go to our Downloads folder, take both of them, drag them in. Create new track. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is trim all the nonsense at the beginning, so we only have the song. Let's do... where are we at?
Are you alright?
Get away!
Where is the song? It's probably right here. No?
I wasn't that scared.
Okay, let's trim that. Bring that over here. Damn. Alright, let's actually find a different Michael Jackson. Is this the shorter one? It's just the dance. Alright, fine. So anyway, you go to Smart Tempo, click Analyze. So the first step is to get both tracks to the same tempo. That way our grid is synchronized and you can then write MIDI and do other time-based processes. So this is where we cut it, and let's just see. So there's the click here, and then there's playback here, and you can fade between the two. If you just hit play, it's going to play from here and not from here. So you actually have to press this button to hear the click and the thing. So you see here that every beat is changing a tempo. That's because we have this set to variable and not constant. For a more freeform song where there's no click, you're going to want variable because the drummer's going to push and pull and the tempo's not going to be exact. However, I think Thriller was played to a click, so we could try constant. It's going to have to reanalyze. So it says 118.2. That feels right. So one thing though is this is not on the downbeat. So if you listen to 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, it's not on the downbeat. So what you can do is come in here with your tools, and if you're at the top half, it's the downbeat. If you come down to the bottom half, that's the offbeats. So you need to find, there's a downbeat. Place that there. You can zoom in to get better resolution. Right there. So that's a downbeat. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. So you don't got to do a bunch of these, but the more you do, the better the computer has to know where the downbeat is. So you hit apply changes, and it's going to reanalyze based on those hints. Okay, now we can listen. Alright, so it's not on the same tempo anymore. So now what we got to do is put in the downbeat or the offbeats. So let me undo, and let's put some 2, 3s, and 4s in here. Apply.
It's only a movie.
Okay, that looks like it's keeping up pretty nicely. One thing you notice, it switched back to variable and it's changing every beat. That's okay. So that's all. That all looks like it's synced. Let's skip ahead, see if it's still on the same beats. Alright, as you see, it kind of skips now. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So that means we gotta go back and find where it desyncs. So there's it synced. Oh, it just lost it. Okay, so there's a 1. There's a 1. So that's the 1. Hit apply. So there, it fixed it. Still in sync. Now I skipped ahead, it's no longer in sync, so somewhere it desyncs. So that's a 1. Keep going back. These are correct. Oh, wait a minute. Here's where it desyncs. 1. 1. 1. That's the 1. Apply change. Now we go back. 1, 2, 3, 4. Desyncs again. That's a 1, 1. Okay, this one is incorrect. I placed it and I didn't mean to. Okay. I'm gonna call it there. I know there's more to it, but it's mostly the dance number. I don't think there's any lyrics. Okay. Alright. So you could keep going if you wanted. I'm going to trim that short. Then I'm going to do Queen real quick. Same process. Analyze. Okay. Because this one's a little more straightforward. There's no intro. There's no theatrics. The analyzer is pretty good at getting the tempo. Okay, so that one did it pretty good. So now that you got both of them synchronized here, now you have to synchronize it to the grid here. You notice it still says 120 BPM. So the secret is you have to go to Edit, Apply Region Tempo to Project Tempo. So if you hit, Shift Command T, you'll see your tempo line. And now when I do Apply Region to Tempo, it's going to ask if you want to. Are you sure about this? And now you got all these bumps and changes and tempos and all that fun stuff. Let's shorten that a little bit there. So the way that you keep your song synchronized is you have to turn on the flex edits. And I like slicing because it does the least amount of changes to the song. It's like every beat is trimmed in its own little region and it moves it left and right to keep it synchronized with the grid. So the next step is to select all these things, hold Control, click, and then replace by average. And that now made it a single tempo. You see there's a little bit at the beginning. Brighter means it's faster. Gray means it's slower. Blue means it's pretty much unchanged. And so you see, for the most part, this is an unchanged thing, but it's now synchronized to the same tempo. And we can round that up to an even 118. So you see the ending got a little slower. But now, there's your click. Okay, I do hear the click, it's just quiet. All, click, there we go. And we can even do tonal. I like matching it to the key, just makes it sound more musical. Okay, I'll just hit save real quick and do Thriller. Wait, the dust. Okay, so you did that with one. Now that you have it synchronized and it's got the flex enabled, you can then change the tempo and it will stay synchronized with your grid. Now everything's slower. The slower you go with slicing, the more artifacts you'll get. You'll start getting like a choppy sound, and that's because it's literally chopping it up and stretching it. If you go really slow, you could then switch to polyphonic, and it sort of smudges it, sort of like smears the in-betweens. The other one is rhythmic. That's got its own sound. Speed will actually slow down like a tape and it'll pitch down. So that's cool. Telephonic is more of an effect. It makes it sound kind of robotic. I think Paul Stretch from Audacity. And if you go extreme, you'll start getting like robotic sounds. So anyway, switch to slicing, go back to 118. Alright. So now this is fixed, or not fixed, this is the way it's going to stay, and you can move on to your next track. So, you got to remember the order of operation, you got to go to this, apply region to tempo, apply. Same as before, select everything. Wait. Gotta turn this on first. Slicing. So now that we check it, 1, 2, 3, 4, okay. So now you can hit Command A, select all, replace by average. So this is 109. We can bump that up to 118. It's a little faster. We could split the difference and do, let's see, 110. Let's do 114. Still a little fast. What was it, 110? Okay. I guess 113 will be the in-between. So now you can play them both together and they'll stay synced. So you hear there are two different pitches, right? So at this point, what I'll do is, first of all, figure out what the pitch is, the keys of each song. So to write MIDI, I'll switch this one to pencil tool, and to enable that, you hold Command and you switch to a pencil. So now you can make a region. And this is also how you write MIDI. As long as you're holding Command, you'll write MIDI. So my thumb just kind of hovers there right next to the space bar. So anyway, I'll switch to Thriller. So it looks like that's in D flat, C sharp. Okay, so then I'll go over to the title and then write the tempo, which was on 18 BPM in D flat. Okay. Go to Queen. If I recall, this is an E. So it's an F. Alright. So again, go to the beginning, press, was 110 in F. And if you want, you can put the minor. It's not that important. It's more about where the root is. If you get the roots to match, it doesn't matter if it's major or minor. Okay. So now that we know the key, we know the tempos, we can now bounce these down so you're not having to process all these. The other thing is if you start slicing these up, it kind of messes up with the flex timing. It won't stay synchronized. So once I have this, I will, was it Control B is bounce in place. And let's actually copy the name before we do that. Control B, select the region. Control B, paste the name. I want a new track, leave the original, include audio tail, you don't need this. If you wanted like a DI track, you wanted to bypass all your other stuff, you'd hit bypass effects on plugin. But we don't need that, so hit OK. Now we have a beat matched file that we can work with. Do the same thing with Thriller. And I'm going to keep it at the lower tempo. That way both of these are the same tempo. We don't got to mess with that ever again. Control B. Same thing. Oh, hold on. There we go. Oops. Undo. Control B. Paste the name. There we go. All right, so now we can take these, can turn those off, we can mute them, we can, if you want, right click, track header, on and off, and you can turn these off. What that does is save CPU power, so it means any processing you have on your channel strip is no longer, it's gonna ignore it. And one more thing is you can hit H, and you can hide these tracks. So they're still there, they're still in the session, but you don't need to, they're not taking up space in your work area. So now we got these both, they're synchronized, but they're not in the same key. So there are multiple strategies to picking the key of your mashups. You can choose one that's the root that you're going to follow and everything's going to match it, or you can split the difference. Because these are sort of far apart, you got F and you got D flat. You could pitch this one up to D, push this one down to E, then push this up again, and now you got them both in E flat. E flat's kind of a weird key, so you could drop Bites the Dust down to D, that's a little more reasonable, or you can make it E, and they're both in E. So the way you do that is you count, alright, this one's D, so you go 1, 2, 3. Then you'll go up to transpose right here. If you can't see that, it's because it's in this little drop down under region. So you go transpose, and what was it? 1, 2, 3. So you go type 3. And I'm on the wrong region. Click the region you want, and 3. Okay. Now it's going to analyze again, but this is going to be for pitch purposes, not tempo. Did that? Okay, it didn't change anything tempo-wise. So now, so that's the other thing. If you pitch the vocals, it's going to change everything. It's going to pitch the drums, which you don't need to pitch. You really only need to pitch the bass, the vocals, and the instruments. So that sounds the way it does. I really don't like that, so I'm gonna keep it there. Gonna see what I can do with Bites the Dust. Let's do, what's it? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay. So you select it, go -4, and it'll pitch down. Again, it has to do its process. Ooh, that's deep. I'm just going to throw just a limiter right here. That way it never peaks. So that sounds a little weird too, but now it's in the same key as this.
It's totally a movie.
It's not funny.
Pretty cool, huh?
Wasn't that
Let's see. All right, let's try putting it in D. So that's Thriller's got to go 1, and then 1, 2, 3. Okay. So let's do 1 on that, and -3 on this.
that scared?
Machine gun ready to go.
It's close to midnight.
The other thing I try is to try to sing along with it, and if it's in a range that's easy to sing, because if you pitch it way off, it's not going to be easy to sing. So I'm going to undo the transpose. If you're running on an older version of Logic and you don't have the AI splitter function, then this is where you would stop, and then you would slice this up and start doing your mashups. Before, what I would do is I would try to listen to the bass lines and the drums and try to write MIDI for that. So I'll just show it real quick. Make a new software. Let's pick a bass sound. Dance clean, sure. Again, hold Command right. It's easier to break this down into measures, and sometimes if it's more of a complex thing, I'll even go so far as to just loop the note and then slowly, and it's easier to pick out a more complicated bass, or just complicate anything by doing it that way. But this way it's pretty easy. It's just an F. Let's add that pickup. That's twice as fast. Another thing, if you've written like a whole melody but it's only halftime, we can do is select your MIDI, go to Functions, MIDI Transform. Now you got double speed, half speed, all these other preset things. I want it to be twice as fast, so double speed. You can do select only, operate only, select and operate. I'm going to want operate only because I've already selected it. And there you go. It's half the speed. And then you just drag that back over. Cool little functions. All right, let's make this longer. There we go. Do a little shorter. And these are more short. The other thing is, whatever MIDI note you have selected is going to be the same length of the note that you're going to write. So I'll click on the shorter note and I'll write that. If I wanted the longer note, I'd click that and then it'll make that note length. But I want the short one. Dun, 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 dun. These sound a little long, so I'm going to shorten them. And because it sounds a little a little different. It sounds like he's playing a little longer, so I'm just going to extend this. Oops. I'm going to extend it not a full length, but just a little longer. So that's it. I'll then go in here and just see what I can change on the bass. Let's see. More mute? Maybe. I haven't checked to see if the older versions of Logic have this, or if there's only in this latest version. It's pretty nice compared to the bass that you used to have. You got a lot more control over the sound. String noise. Got portamento you could play with. So anyway, that's cool. Then I do drums real quick. So another new software instrument. Pick some drums. Let's just do East Bay real quick. Real simple beat. Turn up the velocity a little. Snare. Sounds like there's a kick on each beat, so I'll double that. And I'll just do this. Get out of there. Okay. Hi-hats are one of the hardest things to do with samples. Because the hi-hat has so many variables and in-betweens. So it sounds like he has his foot closed on all the downbeats. And then he hits the open hat, or maybe just hits it. Yeah, I think he just hits it. So let's copy these. That doesn't sound right. Okay, so those are open too long. Let's add a hit there. Let's turn these into stick hits. That's pretty close. Turn on the bass. And this is what I would do. I would go through the whole song, recreate the drums, the bass, and then the rest of it was sort of just as you feel like you need to add for the mashup. But this new feature is the AI split. So what I'll do is I'll select this. Let's see, transpose off. I don't need these. I'll do the transpose after. But yeah, you'll select it, go to functions, stem splitter. Now you can pick vocals, drums, bass, and other. Some places, some other third-party AI splitters will have piano separate from other, but Logic has just this basic, this is everything else in this one track. So I want everything. I'll split it. It's really quick on this M1. I love it. But now I got all the individual elements. Bass and drums here. Cool. Cool that you can hear that there's a guitar above it.
On the street with the brim pool
what I really want is the vocals, because I want it over Thriller. I'll do the same for Thriller. Split, go. Once again, we don't need these originals, so we can turn them off, hide them. And now we have the split songs. Turn off the vocals for Thriller and turn off everything else for this. Now here's where you'll start doing your transposing. Drums, you don't need to transpose because it'll make it sound weird. But you can then take bass and other and do your, what was it? It was 1 for Thriller. It's going to take a second. I'll do the vocals as well. 1. And I'll do the same for Queen. -3. Okay. And that's basically all you need to do. That beat's a little off, so I'm gonna nudge it over. If that's my downbeat, I'll do Command T is trim. That gives me a beat that I can move. Place that on that grid. Michael Jackson starts singing here.
It's close to midnight.
So I want that beat to be, well, here. All right. Actually, I want this beat, so I'll just drag that back over. And then trim there. Nudge this over. No.
It's close to midnight.
Is this even on the downbeat?
It's close to midnight. Something evil's lurking in the dark. It's close to midnight.
One more thing you could do on vocals is, it sounds pitch shifted, obviously, but to try to combat that, you can use the pitch transformer, and you can play with the formant. Is there a formant here? More. Track? No. Sometimes there's a formant there. So anyway, let's go to a vocal section. So the way that you do this is you take the number of transpose and you try to match it with the formant in the opposite direction. We could undo that and just do the pitch shift here. It's not perfect. So that's something you could play with. most importantly is this is a way to sketch out a mashup that then you can take to your band, and they'll replace the vocals with a live vocal. Somebody else will sing the part. But to arrange, this is great. What else? Oh, if you want to change the key of the mashup, instead of going to each individual track and changing each one, let's say you're doing 4 songs, and each song has these 4 stems. You don't want to go through and have to go, okay, transpose, 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 transpose. What you could do instead is use buses. So you can take, let's say you don't want to do anything to the drums, but you can take the vocals, the bass, and you can send them, instead the output to, what do I want to do here? Yeah, let's just do bus 1 and make the drums bus 2. So we could do buses, you could do the output, or you can split it and have it ascend. And you can send it to another location. So you're sending it to 3 and 2. That's how you do effects and other stuff. I'll do the same for Queen. Vocals, bass, other. Let's get rid of that. And go to bus 1. Drums, bus 2. Okay, and now to keep track of everything, so this is your channel strip, this is the bus. If you want the bus here, you can right click and go create track. And now that popped up. This is now bus 2, and I'm going to label it drums. Move that down. Then I'll go to here, bus 1, create track, and I will say pitch. Okay. Then what you could do is go one step further, take both of these, and they're already sent to the stereo. I'm going to do one more, bus 3. It could be any of the buses, it doesn't matter. And I'm going to say mix. Okay. So the reason I'll send the mix to a bus is so that I can go back to the originals and have them go to the output, the main output, and not be affected by anything on a master chain. So let's say I wanted the limiter only on my mix, and I had some other stuff. Anyway, so I'll put everything through a mix bus. That way I can reference the originals and not have them processed by any of my processes. So let's say I wanted to raise the bass. Then it's not going to be affected by, or it's not going to affect this. Nothing is being affected. And that's just for reference purposes, so you can match and try to get closer to the originals. Alright, so to change the key of the entire mix so far, let's hide that. Well, hold on. Turn that off, then hide it. Let's see, pitch, play. Cool, so you got your pitch bus. You can go down to, I like Apple's pitch. AU pitch. This one I think is the most transparent pitch shifter. It won't go bigger. Why won't it go bigger? Anyway. So this works in cents. 50 cents is a half step. So if we want to go from D to E, we have to go 2 half steps. That's 100 cents. Okay. If you want to go to the original of Thriller, that would be negative 50 cents. Okay, you can check with the original. Oh. Yeah, I keep typing in it. Anyway, you can go quite far with that. Let's do -50 again. That didn't work. Come on now. It's because I have the double negative typed in there. There we go. So then you got effect blend. That's a wet dry between the original and the dry. Tightness and smoothness, I'm not quite sure what they do yet. It just changes something about the algorithm. If you don't like that one, you could try this one, pitch shifter. This one's a little more easy. First of all, go to the mix 100, so you're affecting everything. And it's got by semitones. You could also turn on latency compensation. The other thing I'll change is you got drums, speech, vocals. Those are just the different algorithms that it uses. You got manual and pitch tracking is the one that I'll switch it to. What's that now? So that's now an E. So then you can just start playing with it. You could turn other elements on, switch them in and out, change the drum parts. Oh, that's the bass. So the way I did the levitating mashup was, well, it took a long time, but I would go through and find the loops and create regions out of them. So let's say we're working with, wait a minute. Oh, that's right. All right, so because I sent these to buses, this no longer is doing anything. So I'm going to drag these out and make, instead of a summing folder, I just hit Shift Command D, and you can have a summing track which creates a bus, or just a folder stack, and it just organizes it. So it doesn't give you, or it does give you a fader. Oh, okay. I'm gonna do the same thing for this. Hold on. Let me get, copy that. Command D is to get rid of a track. Shift Command D, I'm sorry, Command Delete to get rid of a track. Paste, there we go. Copy, move these out. Command Delete. Shift Command D, folder. Paste the name. Cool. Let's move that back over. So anyway, I would then start making loops. I would take this one, say I wanted to take the drum. That doesn't seem to change. So you could go to your markers on your grid and hold Command T to trim. Go to the next measure, Command T. Now you have this loop. You can hold Option, drag down, and now you have this loop. If you hover your mouse on the top corner, it gives you this loop function, and you can loop that forever. Yeah. Let's say I wanted, hold on, bring that back. Let's say I wanted the bass line from Thriller. So there's a pickup, but the pickup is every time. I'm going to do a 2-bar loop. Again, hold Option, drag down to a new track. And there you go. And you can loop that. Wait a minute. Where's my loop? Oh, that's why. Okay, turn that off. Wait. No, I need that. Alright, so instead of looping it, it's on the flex thing because we transposed it. So instead of looping it, you can do again, Option, drag. Select both, Option, drag. There we go. And that's how you start arranging. As you can see, it gets a little complex the more and more you do, but having your I don't know what to call it. In editing software, you have your events location, your library. That's where all your footage is stored, and then you have your timeline where you start editing and piece together your video. It's kind of the same idea. You want to separate your raw original material and separate it to your arrangement. So that's how I did levitating. In fact, let me just pull out levitating and show you how complex it got. Don't close. So you see, most of this is MIDI because I've written parts, I've replaced parts, I wrote parts for band members to learn and play. The main thing I kept here was the vocals.
I keep on hoping we'll be cake by the ocean. Walk for me. Get down on it.
Learn to levitate with just a little help. Calm down, calm down.
The other thing I did was I separated it between ad-libs and what would then be replaced by a live vocal. So for instance, for the backing track, I would go through and I'd mute the rap portion.
Though I feed on things that fell, you can learn to levitate with just a little help.
Because I wouldn't need that. Same thing with the Get Down lyrics. Here it is.
How you gonna do it if you really don't wanna dance?
Because that would be sung by a live musician. I didn't need it.
Your back up from the wall.
But then I wrote MIDI for what I would play, the other keyboards would play, a guitar part, a bass part. I find rewriting the parts gives you more control over the tone, the sound, how it's going to feel, because the AI is going to have artifacts and other things that it won't be easy to pick out what's going on. Same with the drums. To get a more cohesive drum sound between all the songs, I went and rewrote all the drums so it didn't sound different when it cut to different drum beats. And ultimately, the musicians are just gonna write whatever they want to play. They're gonna try to do what I write, but it's not always 100% the same. The other thing is I'll transpose, for instance, a solo. Not transpose, transcribe. And then that's how I learn what to play. So once you have all this, you can then change the tempo, slow it down. Okay, that did not work. You noticed how those regions started moving? That's because I don't have them locked in place. So what you could do is go Command All to Control and lock SMPTE position. Now you see there's a little lock above everything. That means it's gonna, oh, hold on. I have to switch that back to 106 before I do that. Lock SMPTE position. Now I can change the tempo and nothing's gonna move. I lied, it still's moving. Huh. I thought that would work. And instead of going through here and enabling... Hold on. Yeah, that's a lot. Alright, well, for learning purposes, you just need to focus on this region if you're going to learn a solo. So the rest of it doesn't matter. It just, you have to remember what the original tempo was. So let's go back down to 90, slow down the tempo. Your MIDI is going to stay the same. It's just all of your audio regions are going to scoot around and not be correct. Whoops, too far. Let's try 50. Whoa. Interesting, interesting. That did not work the way I thought it would. Alright, maybe you don't want your MIDI to have the lock. Playback. Wait. Playback. Edit. Where'd it go? Where did it go? Tempo. Process. Move. I thought it was under playback. Oh, there it is. Edit. Down here under empty lock. Unlock. Okay. Now if I change this. Alright, so now only the audio is moving. There we go. Let's go to 50. Wow, that does not sound good. That's why. So then the way I'd learn this is breaking it down into little bite-sized chunks. Let's say I want to learn just this measure. I'll loop that measure. Da 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 da. And I would go step by step and learn each measure, practice them 100 times. It's slow and tedious, but that's the only way you can learn the fast stuff. Like this right here. You wouldn't be able to do that the first try. And then you can start adding them together. And then you add like the whole first, I don't know, 4 measures. Once you got that, you can start speeding up. And that's how I learned complicated shit. I have to first transcribe it, note for note, figure out what the hell they did, and then slow it down and learn it. And the only way I'm able to do this is because I have it synced to the grid already. I don't know how I would do it any other way. I have to first write the MIDI before I can learn the part. And I could have a part written and play back and it be correct and still not be able to play it to speed or to play it at all. Jesus, why does it sound like that? That's pitch bend, that's modulation. See, I'll also draw in the modulation pitch bend to match the original. Yeah, there's something up with that, but that's okay. I don't need it anymore. What else? I could show... Where's the one I just had open? It was September Mash. So here's one that has, what's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7? Is that right? Oh, wait. No, get lucky. That's right. So 6 songs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 songs. And I have them, the originals in its own bus. But like... Let's add Get Lucky. Let's mute the bass. So yeah, I could spend hours just going through, just muting stuff, soloing stuff, seeing what fits, what goes together, before I even start slicing it up into an arrangement. But it's a lot of fun. It's a lot of time, and it's kind of like Legos. You buy the pieces, you buy the kits, but you get to decide how it goes together. You don't have to follow the book. You don't have to do what they tell you to. So, I don't know what else I could add to this, but that's a good start.